From the News Channel 5 Network, this is OpenLine.
Welcome to OpenLine, everyone. I'm Mark Bellinger. We have a great guest tonight. Joining us is Vice Mayor David Briley with the Nashville Metro City Council. He is one of the more experienced members of the council this year, with 27 new members or whatever. Is that right?
We've got 27 members sitting in new seats. A couple of them have come back after a hiatus, like me.
What is that like, as far as being a leader and having to sort of guide them along?
Well, you know, it's interesting just to deal with the different personalities, and everybody is learning at their own speed and wants to go at a different speed to sort of make a difference. I met with all 40 individually and took my little book and took notes with each one, so I built a little bit of a rapport with them all, and you know, they're all energetic and looking to change the world.
Change the world, huh? Yeah. Last night was your first meeting.
It was.
What was that like?
Well, it was good. We didn't break anything, and despite some early computer glitches with a new system getting installed where we lost sound, it went great. We didn't have a whole lot of business, but we did have the mayor come, Megan Barry, and
right.
She gave a speech at the beginning, which was great to have her come back to the chambers where she served before.
You know, you have to give it to Mayor Barry. I like her because she has nice short speeches. They don't go on all night, you know?
That is true. And she got to the point. She made her points and then moved on. It was great to have her back, and then we voted to approve her choice for the Director of Law,
right.
John Cooper. So those were sort of the two big items that we had last night.
And you, as Vice Mayor, of course, appoints the committee heads, right?
And the committees, yeah, I did.
That's an important job, right? I mean, you decide who goes where. Especially
with so many new council members, you have to find somebody who either has some experience already starting or a quick learner, and because you're going to have important legislation going through all the committees pretty quickly. We had approval of a settlement last night that went through Budget and Finance, and it was a little bit contentious about whether or not we should settle a particular case. But so helping the council members learn the job and finding the right mix on each committee so that there's a broad spectrum of representation on each one. I wanted to make sure that all the areas of town, all of the political perspectives were on each committee. So I tried real hard to do that, and so that when a decision comes out of a committee, it's already sort of been vetted by every perspective before that happens.
All right. As you know, this is a talk show, so you can call in, and you're invited to do so at 615-737-PLUS. That's 615-737-7587. If you have any questions for Vice Mayor Briley, or if you want to talk about some of the issues, and there's certainly a lot of things out there. You know, we're living in a city that is just expanding. It is the IT city. The economy's going great, but there are some things we got to get a handle on, right?
Yeah, well, I think the campaign over the last year, as everybody was out there, we heard a lot of pride in how the city is growing and everything that's happening here, but at the same time, a lot of anxiety about traffic in particular, and changes in neighborhoods, and the cost of housing going up very quickly. So those are issues that the mayor's already talked about, that the council's going to have to work with her to try and make some progress on. I think there's pretty broad consensus on the council to work on those issues.
The Nashville Chamber of Commerce put out a report called Vital Signs yesterday, and that talked a lot about transportation. It talked about the affordable housing and how the housing price index was really going up, and yet the salaries are pretty much staying the same.
That's right.
That's a big issue.
It's a big issue for Nashville, but it's a national problem as well. I mean, if you look across the country, their wages have been stagnant for a long time, but the cost of housing continues to tick up, and so you can still get a house that's relatively affordable in Middle Tennessee, but if you work in Nashville, your house is moving further and further out, so you're having more commute time, and that makes traffic worse. So it's all related in a pretty clear way.
What is the answer to the traffic? Because you're right. I have noticed a difference, and I come in from the south on 65. I tell you, there is a difference just in a year.
Right.
all of a sudden. And it's just going to get worse, right? Because we have more people coming into downtown. There are more offices going up,
That's
office
right.
buildings, more big companies coming in, and those folks got to get in there somehow.
Well, I think the answer is not really known to us. I mean, we know what isn't the answer. It's pretty clear that just widening the roads and adding more roads by itself doesn't fix the problem. It has to be a comprehensive change to the way we look at transportation. We need to do more to promote people living in the core of the city. We need to do more to build out our mass transit system so that people can get from point A to point B without waiting forever and during the hours when they need to. And then the infrastructure we have, if you look back over the last decade or so, we probably haven't paid enough attention to our roads and intersections, and we can go back, and there were some good ideas in the mayor's campaign about how to make that system that we have work better so that you don't have to change that much to see some immediate improvement. You know, I'll give you one of the examples that really ticks me off is over there at Music Row at the roundabout. There's a big construction project on one of the corners, and we're going to go probably 2 years with an entire lane of traffic blocked.
Wow.
And so we've got to stop shooting ourselves in the foot, and pay more attention to those little details, and then there'll be less frustration. The system will work better.
Boy, yeah. I guess it's a good problem to have, huh, with all the construction. It's amazing.
Well, I mean, we could be Detroit, and wondering how we're gonna pay the bills, and thinking about all the houses we need to tear down.
Let's take a couple of calls. I'm going to start off first with Lucy. Hi, Lucy.
Hey there.
How are you?
I am fine. Thank you for taking my call. I've got a couple of comments
Go
here.
ahead.
I was just going to make one, but I'll make a kind of a side note comment here on the what you said that you've noticed here in the past year that the traffic's gotten worse.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard some experts. I've been listening to NPR lately, and they said that that's a nationwide problem. They said because of the price of gas, and they're noticing it nationwide. So that might be some, secret contribution to that. But here's the reason that I called. As soon as I saw David Briley on TV, I had to call, and I have to say this. David Briley has never been my councilman. But about 15 years ago, I had gone down to City Hall to protest, and I was starting to find out that things had changed over the past 40, 50 years when you go down to City Hall. It's not the same thing. People, the city councilmen are not listening to their constituents, and when they protest and they put in their input and say, this is what we want, and they totally ignore them, I mean, that's just ignorant. But I happened to run into David Briley with my little neighbor lady, and Mr. Briley was kind enough to discuss how the city council work and just give us a lot of insight, and he really calmed me down quite a bit. And then on another occasion, I ran into David Briley over in East Nashville at the dog park one day with my dog. And I have to say this, Mr. Briley, you are consistent. You are an honest man. You are a good man. And when I heard that you had become the vice mayor and you're head of the city council, I feel in my heart that you're a good communicator, and some things are going to probably get done instead of it being steered off into a ditch, from which I've seen for about 15 years now. That's all I wanted to say. Okay, Mr. Briley, you have a good evening.
All right, Lucy, thank you very much.
Well,
That's
thanks, Lucy.
quite a compliment.
I appreciate that very much. And no, I did not pay for that call.
The check is in the mail. But that's
yeah, check is in the mail.
Well, she does. I don't know what kind of protest could have been about 15 years ago. Who knows?
Yeah, it's hard to think back that far. But I will say that I think that she hits a key point, is that beyond the anxiety about growth, everybody heard a lot of concerns about voices being heard, about people feeling left out of the decisions being made. And I think Mayor Berry and the entire council is going to sort of renew our efforts to make sure people's voices are heard before these decisions are made. And I've asked Councilman Jim Schulman, who is the chair of the Rules Committee, to meet with the mayor and to organize the council so that we adopt what is called a community engagement manual. A lot of big cities have come out with a manual that in a very detailed way talks about how you reach out to the community before you make decisions, so that people are informed and their good ideas are incorporated into the decisions we make.
Well, it sounds like this thing with the jail, that whole issue recently ruffled some feathers, right?
Well, I think
because it kind of got out ahead of what a lot of people were thinking.
I think everybody concerned, if looking back in the rearview mirror, would say they could have done it a little bit better, and we're still going to have to do something with the jail. The jail we have needs help.
We need to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll be taking more of your phone calls. In fact, Gene, you're next. We have plenty of open lines if you want to talk to Vice Mayor David Briley right here on Open Line. We'll be right back.